All right, so this is going to be a quick tutorial on how I design, layout, proof, and send off my final album designs to my album company, Finao, to actually get printed for my clients. So to do this, I use Lightroom and SmartAlbums. If you're not familiar with SmartAlbums, it's a really great software. It makes designing albums very easy and efficient. So let's just jump in and I'm gonna show you exactly how I do this. So this is a senior portrait session that I shot. So what you're gonna do is use the Publish Services tool in Lightroom, which is a really cool tool where you can publish out images to a specific folder, and then any changes you make in Lightroom, you can update those images in that folder. So what you're gonna wanna do is go to the Publish Services tab and click Go to Publishing Manager. And we're gonna hit Add a Publish Service. We're gonna go Add a Publish Service. There's a little Add tab right here, and you're gonna click Via Service Hard Drive. So you can publish out, you can do this to a bunch of different things, and you can use other plugins and stuff. But then we're gonna name it Senior Print 7, because I have a bunch of these already, but I can also always use more because I'm usually designing and publishing out a whole ton of albums for my different clients. Then we're gonna hit Create. Now, this is where you're gonna wanna choose the specific folder where the images are gonna export to. So we're gonna hit Choose. I have these all on an external hard drive in a folder, SmartAlbums, Publish Services, and then these are all the Publish Service folders I have for my hard drive. So again, like if I click in here, so these are all the images that are in that, linked to that catalog. So if I make changes in Lightroom to any of these images in this folder and then re-export, it automatically updates those images. So it's really, really cool. So I'm gonna make a new folder and call it Senior Print 7. Create, and then I'm gonna choose that folder. So now it's going into that path. So these are all gonna get published out in that area. Now I don't want to rename these. I'm not concerned with video, but if you are, you can do this with video as well. I put the export format in JPEG, quality 100, and I keep the color space at ProPhoto or Adobe RGB. And then out of SmartAlbums, my lab likes to print from Adobe RGB. So I usually export them out from Adobe RGB from the actual album spreads, but I usually leave this in ProPhoto because Lightroom works in ProPhoto. We're not gonna resize anything. We're gonna keep everything as it is. I don't do any output sharpening, and I will just leave the metadata. No watermarking. So then I'm gonna save this. So now there is another tab in here, and it's called Senior Print 7. So now I just dropped all of her images into this Senior Print 7. I'm gonna click on that, all 79 images, I'm gonna hit Publish. Now, while that's publishing, so I usually just go ahead and design the initial album that I show them. I do that with all 79 images. And it's a really cool way to do this is with SmartAlbums. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up SmartAlbums. I'm gonna go New. I use Finao. They are an amazing album company, and I typically do this 12:9 landscape album, the one version with the thick pages. And I don't like the square frames or the square template in this particular layout, so I usually go template without square frames. The border you can set, gap, I just leave it at extra thin. And I just leave the spread background color 0. So there are a lot of options. You can do different things, and then we'll save it. All right, so this is the SmartAlbums interface. So I'm still waiting for Lightroom to publish these out, but as soon as that's done, I'll go ahead and import them all. All right, now we can see this is all published out. So it says published photos. Now, if I go in and make any changes like say I did a little adjustment to this, you know, if I took the vibrance down even one notch, and then I go back over to the grid view, now it's gonna say modified photos. So if I publish this out, it will publish that modified image back out to that folder. So it's really, really cool, and able to, like I said, these are all like styled and color corrected, but they're not retouched yet. So what I do is I will design the album and send the files out to my retoucher at the same time. And then when the files come back, I will just resync them. I basically replace the files, because these are all TIFF files. I replace them back with these files, and then I just resync, and I'll show you how that works. But first thing, I have to actually design the album. So this is, well, here, let me show you. This is the actual design I did. But let me just show you how this works, because I already had the initial design done, but we'll go File, Import Images. I'm just gonna show you how easy this is to actually lay out an album, how efficient it is, I should say, not necessarily easy. So then you go to Smart Albums, you basically navigate to that folder, Senior Print 7, select all, import. And then that folder is kind of like a smart folder between Smart Albums and Lightroom. There's a bunch of different designs and styles that Smart Album has that it will just flip through and basically do the design, and then you can just make small tweaks and changes. So it's basically a matter of dragging these on. You know, I try to keep, I'll just drag all these on, and then convert to full spread. This first page needs to be a full spread. So then I just use the arrow keys. Like if you like how this looks, that's totally cool. And I do think it looks good. But you can basically go through and just flip through, then you can grab the next images. So these are 4, which will kind of look cool as a 4 up, just like that. And then you can come over here and just make quick adjustments, you know, if you need to scale them up or do anything down like that. And then if you need to switch some images around, just drag them that way. So go to the next, and basically you just keep throwing them on the timeline just like that, and it will kind of punch through different designs and stuff for you. And sometimes I'll kind of just delete 1 or 2, but when I sit down and show them, I like to have almost all of them, but a lot of times there's gonna be some images that are very similar, you know, some just like expressions that I'm not sure if the parents are really gonna love one, and I don't really wanna make the judgment call, but I do try and get it narrowed down to the best of the best for them so that it's not too overwhelming. Then the other cool thing you can do is, you know, like with an image like this for the baseball, I like doing just full spreads. And like I said, I already went through and did this once, so I'll show you the actual album that I proofed this. So this is what I showed them at the viewing, and this was almost the exact same spread. And how I show them, so Smart Albums has a publishing feature as well. But let me just I'll show you that. So if you go to File, Cloud Proofing, Export and Upload, it will upload this to a browser basically. So this one has already been published out. So this is the link for it right here. So basically if I click on that, it's gonna open it up in its own screen here. So this is the album, you can go full screen with it, and it's gonna flip through just like a book. So I can put this on my big screen, you can put it on a TV. I use a projector, but when I sit down and show them all the images, I show them, okay, this is what, I not only hand them a physical copy of the actual album, but I show them what their images will look like in that album. And that's really powerful and really nice for them to be able to see that. It can be really difficult to envision like your son or your daughter's pictures in an album, but if you can show them, it helps a lot. So it's really cool. It flips through a book like this. So now once I show them this, a lot of times, you know, there'll be images that they they want in the book, but sometimes they might not love every image. And I always tell them, I want you to love every image in these albums. They're built to last, generations. And it doesn't make sense for you to put an image if you're not in love with it in there. So once we have them picked out, I go back to Lightroom. So I will flag the ones that are the ones she picked. So she has 56 images going in there. And then what I can do is take the unflagged ones, select those. I don't want to select that one. Select all of these. So these are the ones she didn't pick. So I can flag the ones she picked. Then the ones that she didn't pick, I just select, I right click, remove from collection. And that way when I publish this, it's gonna take those out of the folder. So instead of like doing a complete redesign, I'll update this collection and then I'll go back to SmartAlbums and I just go through the timeline and it'll have, I'll show you once it's done, it'll have like a little question mark and I just delete those images out of the spread and then condense and just, so I have to make tweaks. So a lot of the design is already done. I just make some tweaks and then it's ready to go. And then I can proof it out to the client. And if they want to make any changes, it's really cool because there's like a comment and you can work back and forth online with them to actually get the final design done. So it's really, really powerful and it's really efficient and it's a tool that I could not live without. I know a lot of people use Fundy and they have kind of a similar feature. I tried going over to it and I've just been using SmartAlbums for so long that this is just way more efficient for me. So I thought I would show y'all how I do this. And now SmartAlbums is basically everything's updating. So now if I go over to that folder, the published folder, there should be those 56 images in them. So let me go Lightroom, SmartAlbums, publish service. And this was actually the original one that I did it in. So it's gonna be in wedding print 3. Yep, so here's the 56 images right there. Like I said, I had already done this once before. In the beginning, I did a kind of a walkthrough and put them in another folder to show you how setting that up works. So now if I go back over to SmartAlbums and I just go in this timeline, so it removed all the ones that she did not pick. So if I go through and do this, it will basically, kind of have a design done already, and then I'll just have to go through and refine it a little bit. So I don't have to like completely reinvent the wheel on this. So anyone that's missing, I know I need to just go through and delete. And again, I do that just on the timeline here. And then I will go through and fine tune the album because clearly there will be spreads that need to be tweaked. Depending, sometimes they want all the images and that's totally cool too. And now I will just go through, I'm gonna clip that one off. And I like that. You'd never want their face to be on the center line here though. So we'll switch to that. That's a little bit better if we scale it up just a tad. And scoot it over. That looks good. And then I think I'm gonna take this one and drag it over here. Go through the different layouts. That looks good. Now I just kind of take a look at the different softball images. Go through the different designs. Yeah, I like that. Love that. basketball. That looks cool. And I think I'm gonna change one of these because they're kind of similar with this next one over here. I love this spread, and now I do love this spread. Right there. Love that. Change this one around a little bit. Love that. Oh, these were some of my favorite. This hat was so cool. Let's see. Take that out of there. Grab another one of these. And the one thing you got to be careful about is these borders. And I'm not digging how she's looking out in both of those. So we're gonna switch that one with that one. But there is a trim mark where they trim the pages, so you do have to be a little bit careful about the edges, especially when you go full spread. You got to be a little bit concerned about the bleed where they trim it, and then you can scale these up. You can rotate them. This is just probably my favorite picture. And I love this spread, but see how their faces, see how her face is right on that middle. We wanna make sure we don't do that. Like, so this would be good, that would be good. And I'm literally just hitting, the arrow key and looking, and you can customize these spreads too. If I double click on this, it brings into this customizer panel, so I can literally like do whatever I need to do. And you can make new spreads and save those as templates, so it's really cool. But I like that. Yeah, they didn't necessarily need to be, so I love that. So I think that is gonna do it. This one maybe, yeah, I like how she's looking down. But I'm gonna switch this one. Nope, I like it. That's good, that's good. Perfect. Awesome. Now, this is ready to proof to the client. So what I'm gonna do is, I wanna change this one though. See, and this is what I'm talking about, because the image is so close to the bottom, the trim's gonna cut her feet off. So that's the one thing I don't like, but I don't, there's no real way around that with any, with a lot of different printing processes. But I like it where it's full, not. There we go. Yeah, so I'm gonna publish this out to the client. So I'm gonna go File. Well, first I'll save it. And that's how I basically go through and take the images that they loved and wanted in the book from the initial design. I just removed the ones they didn't want, and then just went through and shuffled everything around and made sure that I liked the layout of the book. So I'm gonna go File, Cloud Proofing, Export and Upload. And basically I'm gonna add the clients in here. So you add the client's contact, the emails. I usually email, for a senior portrait session, I usually email the senior and the mom to make sure they get it. And then I just have a standard, so I just say, here's the layout for your album. Please let me know in the comments if you'd like to make any changes. If everything looks good, you can hit the approve button in the upper left. Thanks, Matthew. So I publish this out. That's gonna send an email letting them know. And then from there, if they want to change images around, and I let them know this at the appointment when we sit down and pick out the images, I let them know that if you want to make any changes, just let me know. You could limit the number of changes if you want. For me, it's not a big deal. I tend to go the extra mile for all my clients. So I will make as many changes as they want. I've never really had more than 2 or 3. But if they want me to redo a spread, I tell them just type that in there. If they want me to switch an image around or make one image bigger and one smaller, I tell them they can do that. So, and it's really, really cool because like I said, it publishes it out to that. So I'll show you now. So publish and send email. So it publishes it out to a browser, and the only thing, it doesn't work on phones, but I'm pretty sure you can do it on tablets and your computer. So when I close this, it's gonna open this up. Let me go back over to Safari here. So now this is the new one, and it shows too in here that there was a revision. If I click on that, so it was modified because there were spreads removed. But so this is the new layout of her album right here that I did for her. We had such a blast taking her pictures too. And these hat ones, these were some of my favorites. So when I do the album layout and design for the client to proof, at the same time I send the images to my retoucher, and I have them in a folder in their project. And so what that looks like is I just have it Olivia Retouching, and I transfer that over via Dropbox. When I get the retouch files back, I simply rename this one Olivia Retouching Original, and I name the new folder with the new files Olivia Retouching, drop them in. It updates everything in Lightroom, and then because everything is exactly the same, I simply need to go over and make one little adjustment. So, and I usually like to look at them and make any, final tweaks to make sure everything looks good. A lot of times it will be changing one little tiny detail. So like right now my sharpening is at 46. Let me just look. I mean, that looks really, really sharp. If I go and put this at 47, I'm not gonna notice the difference. And I think for print, or I could go down to 45, or you could change, you could change any like tiny attribute. And then when you go back to the grid, and so I'll sync that with all the images, kind of go through, make sure that everything looks right for print. And then I will go ahead and just republish this out. And because it republished with changes, it will re-import them all. The files will be print ready, perfect, ready to go. And then I can export the spreads to Finao. And that's basically how I proof. That's from proofing in-person sales to collaborating and designing the final layout with the images that the client actually wants in the album, to exporting it and sending the files off to print for Finao. So the albums I use are made by Finao Albums. They're all custom handmade. These are beautiful books made in the US. The leathers are just phenomenal. This is the 9x12 landscape art 1. And this was also designed in SmartAlbums. They're just really, really amazing albums. This one's a little bit older, and I can't say enough good things about them. The customer service is amazing. And again, you won't find better quality. But I thought this would be really interesting, not only to other portrait photographers, senior portrait photographers, but if you just want to make an art book, this is a really, really good way to do it. SmartAlbums is just great software. It not only has Finao in there, it's got pretty much every other album vendor there are. I'm pretty sure it has every vendor in there. So it has specific layouts and pages for those vendors. So it's really, really cool. I do hope this video was helpful and gives you some insight. I really recommend trying out SmartAlbums. I believe they have a free trial. I'll put a link down below, and I recommend giving Finao a look. I'll link their website down below as well. So until next time.